Resisting the contact. Today's horse is Murphy, and he is a thoroughbred who is owned by one of my clients. Murphy is now utilised as a dressage horse. However, in his previous home, he was a pure showjumper and was ridden in a very hollow frame where he learnt to brace against the running martingale to balance himself. So that's completely the opposite of how we want him to go now and how we've been training him to go. So we have put considerable work into getting him using his top line muscles correctly, and he does still struggle sometimes with the connection. But normally he is fairly consistent with his outline, which is not what we are initially demonstrating in this video. We initially had some concerns that Murphy may have been sore, and that was why he was resisting so badly. But we eventually deduced that he had become a little confused with a different style of training that his owner had tried with a different coach the week before. And because he became confused with a slightly different way of doing things, he became a little bit unforgiving of the different aids, so regressed back to his old way of going. Initially, when I tried to take up the contact with Murphy, he flat out refused and just kept putting his head up in the air and trying to stop. Rather than getting into an argument, before he had even warmed up, I loosened the contact and just got him walking forward around the arena until I felt him start to relax and move forward freely of his own accord. Then I began trying to take up the contact again, but it was a little hit and miss for a while as he was quite resistant to any contact on his mouth. So my first ground rule remained that he had to keep going forward no matter where his head was. I continue to ask for Murphy to soften into the contact and just allow my hands to go forward again when he resists, and then I ask again. Murphy also has a bad habit of pushing through his right shoulder, which has been exacerbated with his resistance to the different style of training. When I'm asking Murphy to come round, I keep my hands a little wider and lower than I normally would, which helps me to keep his neck straight and stop him curling to the left and pushing out of that right shoulder. As you can see, he's starting to soften to the contact now and relax, which is back to what we view as normal Murphy. I'm still working fairly hard up there, making sure as soon as he comes against my hands, I'm giving him little reminders by bending him to the inside. He's even using jogging as a way to try and resist. So when he's walking out nicely, I reward him by letting him go a little bit deeper than I normally would, just to help keep him relaxed. Now that he's feeling relaxed and going forward into the contact in walk, I move him up into trot. As you can see, there was a little bit of resistance in the transition, and he's a little not as forward as he could be, but he is relaxing into the contact and accepting the contact. So if I'd tried the trot earlier, it would have just ended in a disaster of Murphy cruising around with his head in the air and me arguing with him. Whereas now you can see, well, yes, I'm still working a little harder than I would like to, having to push him forward into that contact and help him maintain that frame. He is working consistently on the bit and allowing me to ride him forward into that contact. Once Murphy's accepting the contact in one direction, I then change rein. Also a good test to see how he goes without the rail for support on a straight line. But as you can see, he handled that mostly fine. The direction change is still okay and the connection's still there. So now my job is just to keep him moving forward into that contact and maintaining a consistent frame. You'll see he does have little moments of resistance, and I'm really having to work hard bringing that shoulder around with my outside leg, and I open my inside rein slightly to help push that shoulder around. So now my job is just to make sure that Murphy's going to maintain that consistency when his owner gets back on him. So I'll spend a little bit more time just working him around the arena, ensuring that he's moving forward freely now in the trot, and then I will hand the reins back to his owner for a ride. So good consistent rhythm and tempo with the change of rein across the diagonal. He is wanting to drop his pole a little bit, but for the most part is maintaining the connection. Now that I feel like Murphy's back consistently working in a contact with me, I've handed the reins back over to my student Katrina for her to have a feel of what I've done with Murphy. So he's still a little bit of hard work for Katrina, but he is starting to come more consistently round, and he's at least not resisting the contact now. It took a little bit of work to get him on the bit, and as you'll see from this brief video of Katrina riding, he starts to come down and then he'll resist and go back up again, but at least he is consistently going forward, which is the first requirement. And from there we then just shape him and then work on keeping that shape. I hope this video has been helpful. For more training tips, please subscribe to our channel, KPH Horse Training Tips. Thanks for watching.